and that would be appreciated. We are going to be doing bell peppers in a basket. I'm relating this to Diego Rivera. Diego Rivera is a very, very famous artist and muralist, so he does a lot of murals. Possibly maybe your school has a mural on their walls. So Diego is known for his murals. I'm going to talk about how his murals take a lot from the Aztecs and the ancient people of Mexico. He is from Mexico. And you might notice in this photo that there's someone we know next to Diego. Frida Kahlo. So we talked about Frida before. We did the little fruit, watermelons and bananas and papayas. And she was married to Diego Rivera, and he would put her in a lot of his artworks. He kind of sprinkled her in there in his murals, kind of like Where's Waldo. So we're going to talk about him for a second, and then we're going to jump into our art. So let's go to the next slide. So here is Frida and Diego. They were married. They were very on-again, off-again relationship, but they did love each other, and they were together for many, many years. And they were both very famous artists. Alright, he is known for his murals. You can see this mural full of different time periods and dress in Mexico, that there is a Frida. She is right next to the Day of the Dead lady, and you can see that I zoomed up in her face on that top photo. So he likes to kind of stick Frida into his murals. One of his most famous paintings is The Boy with the Hat. He would travel around Mexico and ask to do portraits of people. And he has a very stylized, almost cartoony style for his portraits. It's very stylized of the time. And I like the relaxed expression on this little boy's face. No one knew who it was for a long time because it was done in the 1930s, 1940s. And then years later, we found Sanchez, who is the little boy who posed for this painting. Here is one of his murals. You can see there is a lot of detail. There is a lot going on. A lot of full portraits of humans. He's conveying a message about the future and technology. So this is one of Diego's famous murals. There's a video link there, which you can watch on your own time, where they pan through the entire mural and talk about each section. Alright, this is about industrialism. This is another one of his murals. I want you to pay attention to the body language of these figures. In both of them, you can see that they're all very still and facing the same direction. And he takes this from ancient Aztec paintings and murals. So he kind of copies the idea of layering multiple people on top of each other, that they're all facing the central focus of whatever the mural is about. So he takes a lot from the Aztec murals in Mexico. He also likes to paint everyday life in Mexico, where there is a lot of agriculture. So there is a lot of photos, artwork done of flowers and fruits and vegetables in baskets. In this picture, we could see that they are selling baskets. There are baskets full of vegetables, flowers. There are empty baskets. And these are all done by Diego as well. And so we are going to do the same thing, and we are going to make a basket full of peppers. And we're going to focus on bell peppers. So that's all I have to share with about Diego. And we are going to get started. We're not going to use our pencil. We are going to start off with a black oil pastel. So I'm going to have everyone find your black oil pastel and hold it up. We're going to hold that up, and we're going to wave it in the air like we just don't care, because it's Friday and we get to do bell peppers. Bell peppers are one of my favorite pepper. I do like spicy food, but I like bell peppers on pizza. Those are some of my favorite things to have bell peppers on. As you can see, we're going to have a basket just like Diego Rivera would add in his artwork. We're going to add a chili pepper, and we're going to do a few different bell peppers in different colors. So we are going to do a warm-up, so I want you to find your paper. We are going to put it in landscape. We should be in landscape. We're going to write our name, so write your name. Put your name on there. And we are going to start off with the rim of the basket. We are doing a warm-up, so this is all practice. So get 4 fingers. We're going to bring that towards the bottom and make a dot. 4 fingers towards the center, right there. You can't really skip ahead in this lesson because we need the peppers to be in the forefront and the basket in the background, and there's even some more peppers in the further background, so we're going to stick together. The next thing we're going to do is a curved line like a smiley face. It's about 8 fingers, so 4 and 4 on each side, and that is the length, and it's going to slightly curve up. Slightly curve up. That is going to be the edge of the basket, is what we are practicing. So this is what our warm-up will look like at the end. We're just kind of sketching out our basket, and this is the line we have right here. Alright, the next thing we're going to do is come to the corner, and we're going to draw our first bell pepper. Be careful not to make your bell pepper look like a pumpkin. We have to make the bell pepper look like a bell pepper. It's skinnier at the bottom. So we are going to make another arch. It's about 2 fingers. You're going to bring those sides of the arch down. We're going to taper those lines. So we're going to taper those lines to get closer and closer to each other. And then we're going to round it off and close it. Like so. So the top is 2 fingers and the bottom is 1 finger. Our bell peppers need to be around 4 fingers in height. We don't want them too tiny. Once you have that, we are going to go ahead and do the next side of the bell pepper. We're going to start right about here, towards the top, off to the side, and we are going to do an arch. We're going to come down, come to a point, just like that. And if you don't like how this bell pepper is turning out, it's okay. We're practicing. This is a warm-up, and we're going to do a few of them. We should all be using our black oil pastel. We're going to come on this side, do the same thing, make an arch. We're going to bring that line down, and it is going to taper like so. And then you can add a little bit of a stem. I'm going to show you a different type of pepper. We're going to do more of like a spicier pepper, which looks sort of like that, kind of like a carrot. And we're going to add some bell peppers in the inside as well. We have not done anything to the basket. The only thing we have is this curved line. I want you to find the corner of your basket. You're going to drop down about 2 to 3 fingers, and you're going to do an arch that is curved at a diagonal. And then you're going to place a dot farther down, right about here. It's about 4 fingers away. Once you have that dot in your arch, you're going to come and connect it like that. You're going to come to the other side, do the same thing. And we have created a chili pepper. So we got bell peppers, chili peppers, and we're going to add a little bit of the top with a stem. We're going to just do one bell pepper. We're not going to fit all three. We're just going to do one more bell pepper. It needs to start 3 fingers from the top of our line, 3 fingers up. You're going to start with an arch that is around 2 to 3 fingers, 2 to 3 fingers in length. And then we're going to extend those lines to a taper, so they're going to get closer and closer to each other, almost to a point. We're going to come on this side and do the same thing, and then add a stem. I'm going to give everyone a few seconds to finish that. I know this is a very in-depth warm-up, but it will pay off. Believe me, it will pay off, because this is it's very difficult to draw things in the foreground and background. Alright, and the last thing we're going to do is bring their stop and skip, stop and skip, stop and skip, and now we have our basket. So we're adding the basket last. Once you're done with your basket, we are all finished with your warm-up. If you are finished sooner than most people, you can kind of practice making our crisscross lines for our basket. But at this point, we are done with our warm-up. I'm going to give everyone a few seconds to finish, and we are going to flip our paper over. I want you to think large, okay? So our bell peppers need to be around 4 fingers to 5 fingers in height and width. So let's go ahead and flip our paper over. So it's still going to be in landscape. We're going to do a very similar thing. We're going to get 4 fingers. We're going to place it at the bottom, make a dot. Four fingers. We're going to do a curved line that is about 8 fingers, so 4 and 4 on each side. And I want my bell pepper to be pretty large, okay? It doesn't have to be super small. It needs to be around 4 to 5 fingers. So I'm going to go ahead, put a dot here, make sure that my next dot is over here. Now we know how large this bell pepper is going to be. We're going to start off about 4 to 5 fingers. We're going to start off with an arch, which is about 2 to 3 fingers. You're going to have those lines taper. We're going to curve it off. Our next curve is going to start right about there. So I learned something new about bell peppers, that I knew that they came in orange and red and yellow, but they are actually purple bell peppers. I did not know about that. And you can add your little stem. People say that red bell peppers are sweeter tasting than the green and yellow variety. They're full of vitamin C. Alright, so look at how large that bell pepper is. We want it pretty large. And then we're going to move across, and we're going to start maybe about 2 fingers away. Start about 2 fingers away, and we're going to make a curve that is kind of at an angle. If you can see, it's not straight up and down. It's kind of facing at an angle, like a diagonal line. And we're going to put a dot down there, and we're going to do our spicy chili pepper. Extending this line down. And it looks nice if we make it kind of like a point. Think of a carrot. It's kind of the same shape. I like to add a little bit of detail at the top. Look at how large this bell pepper is. It's pretty large. It's about as large as my hand. From the tip to the crest, it's about close to also 7 or 8 fingers. Here's 4 and 4. We're going to start with the bell pepper in the center. We're going to go up about 3 fingers, and we're going to do an arch. This arch is going to come down, tapering. It's going to come on each side. And we're going to add 2 more bell peppers on each side. And it's okay if you don't see the entire pepper. We're going to start with the center one first. So I'm going to come off kind of like at an angle. And I'm going to taper this down, just like that. And I'm going to do it on this side as well. And this bell pepper might be in the way, and that's okay. We're going to go ahead and add each side. And you can add your stems. I think the basket is the trickiest part. So I'm going to wait here, I'm going to pause. We're all going to start right about here as our next starting point. We're going to go ahead and do a little curve, not very big. This curve is probably about the size of your pinky. And you're going to do it on both sides. Now, some of you might have a bell pepper in the way, and that's okay. Then you don't have to put a little curve, but you should probably have room on this side. And then you're going to go ahead and connect that line all the way, stopping and skipping and connecting. We're making a rim for the basket. Now, often these baskets that Diego would paint were handcrafted, so someone weaved them. They'd make braids, like in your hair, same kind of braids, but with dried grass and reeds, and that's how they make baskets. Now you're going to go ahead and make little lines, stopping and skipping, and creating that basket. Here's a line. I can't see any of my basket because the pepper's in the way, and then I'm bringing my line across. Yours might look slightly different because maybe your pepper is moved off to the left a little bit more or more towards the right. Maybe this bell pepper is larger or smaller than mine. That's okay. You just need to think, where would the basket be? Imagine where the basket would be. Where would the basket be showing? And we're all done with our black oil pastel. So once you have your basket, you're going to put your black oil pastel away. And we're going to color together. You're not going to make your bell peppers any color you want. We are focusing on making our artwork balanced. So to think of artwork balanced, think of a color going as an X. So if this is a green bell pepper, this one's going to be a green bell pepper. If this bell pepper is a warm tone like red or orange, this one's going to be red and orange. Okay? We're going to start together. I need you to go ahead and find your orange. And I want you to pay attention to where I'm putting the color. So let's just watch Miss C. We're going to put color right here in the center of each bell pepper section. And we're also going to do this with orange right here in the center of our chili pepper. So go ahead, do that. We're going to blend with red after. Notice that my orange is not touching the left and right side. I'm concentrating it in the center. Concentrating it in the center. Alright, I'm going to grab my red oil pastel. I want there to be overlap. I don't want you to put red directly in the center, but you're going to put red right on top of the black. You're going to put red right on top of the orange, and kind of preserving the orange towards the center. That's okay. But we're blending everything else. I'm adding this right on top of the black oil pastel. So we want there to be blending. We want there to be overlap. We're preserving the orange towards the center. So as you see, I didn't go right over the red. I preserved it in the center. I'll show you that one more time. So I'm coming in with red, and I am mixing it. I am letting it overlap with the orange, but I'm also preserving the orange as well. I'm letting the black blend in with the red. And you can see the distinct orange stripe. And that's what we want. Don't go directly over the orange. Just have it blend. Okay. The next thing we're going to do is we need to find our rusty yellow. So not our bright yellow, but the rusty yellow. And we're going to come to this bell pepper. We're going to do the same thing like we did with the orange, but this time with a rusty yellow. You're going to find your light lime green, and we're going to blend it just like we did with the red, letting that green blend with the yellow, but not going directly on top, leaving some of the yellow showing. Go right over the black. We want that to blend. It looks better if you let the black blend in with the color. When you think of balancing your artwork, think of an X. So now that we're thinking of a diagonal line, we know that this one's going to be green. And we're going to make it a darker green. So we're going to use dark green and light green. And we're going to put the light green in the center, just like we did with the yellow and orange. We're going to go in with the dark green, so I have my light lime green, and now I'm going in with the dark green. This looks really refreshing and yummy. It's making me hungry. These look awesome. And we're going to add our last one, which is going to be an orange bell pepper. So we're going to need our bright yellow and orange. So the bright yellow, not rusty, but the bright yellow. The bright yellow, not the rusty yellow. Alright, so we're going to take this yellow, we're going to do the center. And then once you have that yellow, we're going to go ahead and add the orange. Capsaicin is the chemical that causes peppers to be spicy. So bell peppers do not have that chemical, so they are not very spicy. Now, if you eat something like a chili pepper, then they will have capsaicin, and that determines how spicy a pepper is. Alright, so we are going to go ahead and start with the basket. I want you to find your rusty yellow and your two browns, so both browns. And we are going to go ahead and just gently color in, not very hard, just lightly color in our basket with the rusty yellow, giving it a base color for the basket. And you don't have to cover every single inch. It could be a little lackadaisical. We're just kind of putting on some color there so it's not a bright white. And I did that with rusty yellow. For this next step, I'm going to have you watch me, okay? So this is a step that is a little more difficult for some people. And we're just going to pick either of the browns. It doesn't matter which brown. You're going to pick a corner. You could pick this corner or that corner. It does not matter. But you're going to start with diagonal lines in a corner. And as you see, these lines are evenly spaced. And they're going to continue in length all the way across until they become smaller and smaller and they end in the other corner. So you can start in this corner or that corner, and you're going to do some diagonal lines. So go ahead, add your diagonal lines with a brown. Starting in the corner, diagonal lines all the way across. Okay. Once you have those lines, you need to find the opposite corner. So I started it in this corner, now I'm starting in the opposite corner, and it's at a different angle. I'm drawing in the opposite diagonal direction. I also like to add little marks, curved marks on the basket's lid, the little lip right here. And once you've done one brown, you can go in and do the same thing in between with your other brown and create a little more dimension. So I'm just doing the same thing, but with in between those hatch marks, adding the darker brown. So I just went in between. We're going to add green to the top of our spicy pepper. Okay, now we're going to add a shadow. So we need our black oil pastel again. And I need you to start right underneath this bell pepper. So I'm going to pause here so everyone can catch up. We added green on top of our pepper. We finished adding some detail in our basket. And now we are going to add a shadow starting right underneath our bell pepper. Alright, if you're not done with your basket, that's okay. You can come back to it, but let's just watch me make a shadow. So eyes on me, in 3, 2, and 1. I'm starting here, and I'm going to go all the way across and make a line. So I'm dipping down, making a line all the way across. I'm going to find where the edge of the basket would be, and I'm also going to draw a line. Then I'm going to color in this entire section black. The reason the shadow is so much longer on this side by the spicy pepper is because the light source is coming from here and it's casting a longer shadow. We're going to also add a horizon line, so we're just going to move up about 4 fingers, put a line, and then on the other side about 4 fingers and put another line. Don't forget that horizon line, it's about 4 fingers up. I'm going to suggest that you make the floor a dark blue because it's a color we have not used yet, and it's going to balance everything out. So I'm going to use my dark cobalt blue, so one of your dark blues, and you're just going to start coloring in this section. Let the blue and black mix. You can even go right on top of the shadow if you like. So I can go right on with the blue, just like so. My horizon line is 4 fingers. I just added a black line 4 fingers from the bottom. Now I'm blending the blue with the shadow. Alright, I'm going to do light blue for the top half of my horizon line. And what you're going to do with that is you are going to trace all the way around your bell peppers first. So what I mean by that is you're going to get that blue right next to the bell pepper. And you're going to outline everything. In those little nooks and crannies, you are blending very close, touching. Let the blue touch the bell pepper, as you can see. I'll zoom in so you can see. Adding blue right on top, touching, outlining everything before I start coloring in. The reason we're doing this is it stops from showing too much of the white of the page, and we want this to look as if the blue has always been there. So get it as close as you can, and then you can start coloring it in. Your stems can be whatever color you want, brown, black. You can leave them white. I'm going to make mine brown. You can make them green. So capsaicin is what makes peppers spicy. Bell peppers do not have any capsaicin. They're called bell peppers because they're shaped kind of like a bell. They come in red, orange, yellow, and even purple. So the ripest green, so a dark green bell pepper can ripen into more of a purple color. It contains a lot of vitamin C and A and fiber. It has 1 gram of protein. So bell peppers are produced from a flower. So they're a flower, a little white flower first on the plant, and then they bloom and start developing into a bell pepper. So they are considered a fruit, not a vegetable, because they start off life as a flower. Red bell peppers are the sweetest flavor. They are part of the nightshade family, so that is a branch of plants. Tomatoes are also part of the nightshade family. So they are the only family of peppers that do not contain capsaicin, which is the chemical that makes it spicy. The word pepper for bell peppers and chili peppers in Europe, the reason they call them peppers is because they had nothing to compare the taste of a spicy pepper to. The only thing they had to compare the capsaicin taste is to pepper, like black table pepper, like pepper you'd have, salt and pepper. So they just described the taste of a pepper as like black